Hi and welcome everyone. This is Varleigh at Lavender Sky Panther with you on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. This is now going to be called Crystals on the Silver Screen. We're going to talk about all kinds of crystals happening through a lot of movies. I've flagged about 25, that I could think of just off the bat. I tried to pick the higher vibrational movies. Of course, there could be some other really kind of sinister, dodgy, dark ones, but I don't watch those. So as I said in the little description leading up to the show, if you think of any, feel free to throw them in the chat or later after this airs. And, just for fun, if you want to compare some notes, what I'm going to be doing is a few things. First of all, I want to say big, heartfelt thanks and for being here. Welcome, whether you're new or coming back to this channel. I want to give a shout out to Rita. Thank you in the chat already, saying hi, everyone. Hoping all has been well this week. And she's thanking me for sharing the energy tonight. So thank you. And I thank you too, all of you, whether you hop in the live chat, which you're welcome to do or not. You're all a part of the energy too that makes this show. So you can, if you look in the history of my live shows, there were many where nobody hopped on, and I've had shadow banning issues and whatever ongoing. But I know my mission, my role is just to come here, rain or shine, sleet, hail, whatever, I'm going to be here if I am guided to do these things and bring a little message through or bring whatever wants to come through for everybody tonight. So all that to say is whether I see anybody or not, given the shadowy stuff going on with YouTube shenanigans, I know that somebody's there hearing this, whether it's live or down the road. It's just about, if you think about it, any thoughts, anything that we say, any emotions that we pour out, especially the loving ones and kind ones, they're going out infinitely into the galaxies. If you think about it, like they just radiate out. There's nothing stopping them. So if you think about it, and if there is no time, those things emit on and on forever. So that's kind of like this. It's a transmission that goes on and on. So, but of course, I'm extra thankful and happy when you beautiful souls can join in, because it does make a difference in the energy. So thank you too. All right. So all that to say, I'm going to mark the show with this, as I usually do. For anyone new, I have a full PowerPoint, but I like to do it the old school way and print it out and point and shoot, literally. So in this case, here, let me do it this way. I like to kind of mark the show and show the title page. So as you can see, there's a whole host of movies in here, that I've been, kind of compiling. It's not all of them. So I'll have more, coming up that we'll talk about, but it gives you a little hint and preview of what's to come. And we're going to look at these in the little, slide sheet format. And also toward the very end, if you like oracle cards, tarot cards, I've got some really fun ones, definitely relating to crystals. And so if that's your jam, stick around for it. If not, I totally get it. It's not for everyone. As always, different messages might come through just as guided. I sit down before I do this and say, hey, God, divine team, what wants to come through? And then that's what we go with. So a lot of times I'll have a little loosely things structured out, but usually, a lot of times I off-road it too. That being said, what I'd like to do is I'll do a little walkthrough on some of the movies that I've highlighted and flagged. And then again, if I see anything pop up in chat and it's, something that makes sense to off-road it and go off into chat for, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll just kind of run through all the things that I have and then get to chat. We'll just play it by ear. Okay. So that being said, let's get into it. Now, I am going to also talk about, since it's crystals on the silver screen or crystals appearing in movies, I will give you some of the spiritual meanings of them, just really quick kind of cheat sheet kind of versions of them. What I like to do when talking about crystals, I'll just pull one up, for example, like this. It's an amethyst, but it's a paler lavender version. I use it for healing. It sits nicely in the palm, and the little teeth on it are a little bit smaller than some other more mature amethyst. But what I like to do is take each crystal in and of itself, and because each one has such personality and it has its own energies, just like people. And so even though I'll read to you, a little cheat sheet version of what some of these crystals may mean, to me, they're very personal, when you take one and again, read its energy, whether using it for healing or not, right? Even if it's just as simple as a river stone. Now, river stone, they say, is technically not a crystal. It's just a sedimentary rock. However, many of them have veins of crystal in them, like quartz crystal or other crystalline properties. So just keep that in mind too. So if I talk about crystals, crystals have a certain structure that define it as a crystal versus a sedimentary rock, for example. But for me, kind of goes hand in hand. If I feel that a stone has silica or quartz or something in it, even without having a microscope, I just go by feel on these things. What energy are they giving off? Okay, a little side. Oops, I hit something. Hang on. Okay, my mouse. Okay, so oh, let's see. Okay, okay. Oh, hey, Mary. Let's see, Marianne or Ian. Hi. She has a question or something on her mind. I'm going to read it because even though it's not going to directly apply to crystals and movies per se, but let me look at this comment. Two things on my mind. Where is my friend's missing bird in the Bronx? And now, oh, how close are my sisters finding an apartment near me? Okay, now this is actually a good example of something with crystals because I'm going to link in the description area below after this airs. I have many parts, I think 4 parts of shows on my playlist just dedicated to crystals. And I'll link them in. The first one is pretty intensive. I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes where I go over crystals in detail. The reason why I'm bringing this up in relation to Marianne's comment is that at the very end of that show, I talk about how we have all these beautiful crystals, but at the end of the day, the most powerful one is that God spark or that spark of life within us that sits in the heart chakra, the heart space, which for me, the heart space is just this whole field of energy. It's almost like when you have emotions of love coming up. If you think about someone you truly love, you just feel a welling up of something happening right about here, and that's the heart space. And how I'm applying this to Marianne's comment is, I would invite you, Marianne, to close your eyes, get in touch. Try to balance out, breathe in, exhale, get to a nice neutral, calm energy for yourself. And then just close your eyes and feel into this crystalline God spark heart space right in here. And I'm asking you to tap in. This is a question for you to tap in and get to your answers because the truth is going to lie right in here for you. Now, when I just hear about bird, just the color of yellow flashed in my mind doesn't mean that is what the color of it is, but it's that golden energy. And so I'm going to direct you, if you care to do this, to breathe, exhale, get to a piece of calm and a trust and a knowing that regardless of what the specific answers are to these situations, it doesn't matter. Know and trust in something bigger, divine force, that everything is loved, blessed, and protected in the situation, meaning the bird and the sister and the circumstances. So trust and know that all is well, no matter what the outcome. Be neutral, be okay, no matter which way any of this goes. So bird recovered, get neutral. If bird is recovered, great. If not, bird is going to be in the exact right place because that bird also has its own soul and mission. Sister finding the apartment near you, if it's the best and highest good, ain't nothing going to stop her from doing that. If there's maybe something different that's supposed to be best and highest for each of you, then just know and understand that that's going to be the best and that will play out. So first and foremost, trust in the divine. Everything is well, all is well exactly as it is. And in the meantime, all I can say on that is I just saw a flash of yellow about the bird, meaning all is good and golden light and energy surrounding the circumstances, and also for the apartment too. It's going to be the perfect, I just feel a balance and that all is well. All right, so for everyone else out there, I know I kind of deviated off, but I felt it was important to address that. Okay, now we're going to be looking at first movie up. Might be before some of your all's time. It's a little ahead of my time. And whether it is or not doesn't matter. So I put like the oldies, the classics first in this slide. So we're going to be looking at To Catch a Thief with Grace Kelly in there, starring in there with her beautiful diamond necklace. The storyline involves a diamond thievery, as well as, and that's I think from the 50s. And I just put the movie poster in Italian just for fun. It's Caccia Ladro, To Catch a Thief. And then on the other side is the Pink Panther, and that came out in the 60s, early 60s. And the central theme in that movie is somebody trying to steal a pink diamond necklace. So in these two movies, and actually a lot of the movies involve not just seeing a gem, but like stealing it or trying to find it. And it's kind of interesting that that's where that sits because we can also just have rare and valuable jewels sitting there. Why are they always about plots about stealing them, right? So I just found that funny. You'll see more coming up about stealing them. So in this case, we have diamond. So whether it's pink, I'll give the little brief spiritual description meanings behind diamond. And then when I say pink diamond, we'll just be adding that that's the heart chakra. So heart chakra means energy wheel or energy center in the body. And the heart one can be pink and it can be green depending on where in the heart chakra it sits. So in this case, if we're talking about a pink diamond, it's going to be what I read about diamond, but just amplified and surrounded with more love around it. Okay. Now I like the symbolism. She's got here going on, Grace Kelly. So she's got the diamonds and she's wearing white. And there's even like a Grecian urn in the back that's white. And how that ties into diamond, we're just talking about the regular colorless kind. It's called the stone of light. So it's got that light energy. It's an amplifier, much like just crystal quartz is. It's purity. Again, the white there, the symbolism, echoing that purity of the diamond. It's clarity, and it's also unbreakable strength. Because, of course, we talk about diamonds being like one of the hardest on the hardness scale, the most hardness scale of crystals. I always show you like cutting a mirror with a diamond, right? It's showing it's really hard. And so there's going to be many more meanings, but like I said, I'm just going to give like the quick version, like the little, Cliff Note version of these things. And then if you had a real diamond or you have a real diamond, especially if it's in jewelry, just really hold it and feel into it. What does it feel like to you? Now, of course, one of the big things with diamonds and rare and precious diamonds is somebody holds it up and looks in and sees if there are any occlusions or anything muddy or is it really, really pure, right? The more pure it is, then supposedly the more valuable it is. Now, these days, there's a lot of lab-made diamonds, which are kind of driving the cost of some of these diamonds down as far as like regular wedding ring purchases and stuff. But as far as finding them in nature, that's, of course, my favorite thing is any of these rare, precious gems. It's not about the polished version. So I'll show you an example, or tumbled version. So this is just, rough. When you see little teeth and little crystals there, this is partially smoothed out. So somebody kind of buffed it out a bit, but you can see the rough part just looks like a rock. So if this is face down and you don't see the beautiful purple stuff going on, you would think, oh, that's just a rock. But, you get to opening it up and you find the real magic happening inside. But you can polish it. So you can just see the nice line between unpolished and polished there. Now, when some of these crystals are small enough, like this size, like a chip of it. Okay, that's still amethyst. It's not very dark, but it's still amethyst. That's just the rough, raw version of it coming out of the ground or out of the rock, whatever. And then this is what they call tumbled or polished. So it literally gets tumbled around to smooth it out. So again, just for anybody who's wondering, polished version, raw, natural version. Okay. Now for me, when working with healing, if you're going to use crystals for healing, for the most part, I like the raw version, but there are exceptions. Sometimes the tumbled version works well too. And that just depends too on how your energy field is and also on whoever you're going to be working on to heal with crystals. It just depends on that kind of dynamic too of the energy fields and the energy fields of the stones themselves. So it's a very unique kind of one-on-one situation kind of basis. And I will put links in the description area below too of people that I've looked to learn about crystal healing. I have a little certificate for it, but also you can do it without having a certificate and also go by feel when working with somebody. But that'll be another show if maybe we'll do eventually, who knows, about talking about healing with crystals. Oh, and I'm going to just check in the chat again. So Marianne says 2 things. Oh, I read it already. Sorry. Rita says, I will meditate on positive vibes for your friend and sister. So that's for Marianne. So that's really nice, Rita. Thanks for doing that for her. Yeah, and anybody, any good vibes we can send her way. Of course, if you were in the situation yourself too, we can all feel like we would love some extra boost and good wishes for the scenarios that we find ourselves in. I just talked with someone today finding themselves in, some pretty unusual situations, like for decades, is something now is asking for change to happen and hasn't for over, 3 decades. So that can be, pretty uneasy if you're not used to change. And so now is the big times is all reminding me to really just, if you're not doing it already, just maybe when you lay your head down at night, just blast out and in general, best wishes for everybody in this world, because if you've made it here on this show and you're watching this, any of us who are still here on this planet, man, we did it. Like, we're doing really well, because there's so much happening now on the planet these days, and we're making this big transition as we move from 3D to 5D. So if we're still here, whether we have aches and pains, no sleep at night, weird stuff going on with the digestive system, whatever, just it's like thank God we're still here and here to talk about things and ponder things. And the reason why I'm doing this, actually, Crystals on the Silver Screen, I was going over some movies that I've seen in the past, and I don't know if you're feeling it, but for me, it's like, as we are, collective consciousness is moving toward, when I say from 3D to 5D, it means most of us now want to choose a better way. We don't want oppression. Enough of this like punitive system, draconian system, penalizing everybody for just stepping here, going there. Uber over the top surveillance going on now with cameras everywhere. Like, I didn't sign up for this. Give me nature, give me people talking one-on-one, just eliminate the AI. Thank you. I didn't sign up for that either, where now I can't even tell if something's a real human or not. I didn't sign up for if like a robot can look real or not. No, thank you. So for those of us that want to choose, a way forward that's loving and filled with human love-based kind of energies, some of this stuff coming on the horizon is not going to be working for me. So, but the reason why I'm dipping back into the movies is, at the same time, I don't know if you're feeling it, but I'm feeling like this nostalgia already. Like, oh wow, if we really shift to a newer, better way, that's more high vibes and all of that. It's taking us further away from this age of innocence with some of these movies. So anyway, I kind of want to dip back in, look at the crystals and how they were used kind of as a nostalgia walk. And also just a lot of these movies too, all have hint drops and what's coming and good things to come if we, really look through and parse through some of the stuff, which is what I'm going to be doing. And enough talk, let me get to it. So I don't know if you guys have any favorites of the things that I showed on the thumbnail, any of the movies, but we'll keep going in the order that I have them. So here come the next little trip around the Movieville here. And when I say movies, it can also mean TV, TV series. So let's start with, I was never a huge fan of the movie Titanic. I know a lot of people are, but let's jump into this. So you guys may already know it. They called it what? The Heart of the Ocean in the movie. And big spoiler alert, by the way, if you plan on watching any of these, hit mute so you don't get the spoiled version. So anyway, we have, the blue. So that's kind of supposed to be a huge diamond. I think a 56 carat kind of like, I think it's called a blue diamond, but for our purposes, since I already covered diamond, anything with blue would involve the throat chakra for the spiritual meanings, but let's just call it a sapphire because I have that on my list too to talk about. And sapphires will come up later also. But here she is, she's wearing this, and we have the characters Cal and Rose. So that's a whole drama about that movie, what those characters are doing, literal characters. But anyway, let's get into the meaning for sapphire. That can mean wisdom, serenity, really big connection into the divine and the heavenly realms and enlightenment. Also, it's big for trust and commitment. So I think that's why with weddings, we've talked about diamond already. There's that little thing like wear something borrowed, wear something blue. Blue is, in this case, symbolizing that trust, commitment, fidelity. But in a spiritual sense, blue is really great for opening up the frequencies and the energies around opening up the throat chakra and being able to speak your truth. And actually, when I think about it in this movie, what was her problem? Her problem with Cal was pretty oppressive and abusive and was trying to keep her, in a tiny little box. And she's all about busting out of it because she was an actress, a very expressive, person. And so ironically, he gives her something blue, and yet he won't allow her to fully express. So I thought that was kind of a little bit of irony used there in that movie. Now, we'll move on to this one. So that was Titanic. Now, this is the early TV series of Star Trek. So there's Captain James T. Kirk. And, I haven't seen this full episode. Not sure who she was exactly. That's probably a very interesting story, though. Maybe but she's wearing this very large, chunky crystals, really large necklace. And it turns out that for the Star Trek world, that was called dilithium. and they needed those crystals to power the warp speed on the USS Enterprise. Who knew? So I think it's just like a really large, chunky quartz, kind of thing. And so it's just interesting that she has it all on this chunky necklace. And actually, I want to bring up a card that I had drawn, an oracle card, okay, because it just reminded me of her necklace. If I can find it quick enough. If not, hold on. Give me a second here. If I don't find it, I'll tell you why. I was looking at the card. It should be here. Okay, I'm not finding it readily enough, so that's okay. But what it reminds me of, one of my cards. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong deck. Yes, I was in the wrong deck. I'm looking at the Crystal Grid deck, number 32 or number 5 balance, Shaman Stones. So her necklace in that TV series, even though they look like a clear quartz or quartz crystal, it's reminding me of the Shaman Stones. And she even talks about it. Oh, this is just a regular rock where I come from. And look at her. It's not trash. She is valuing it on her necklace, but what's considered in, metaphorically speaking, like trash in her world, is like treasure for the Star Trek Enterprise, because it even powers the whole ship, right? So it just reminded me of that. But anyway, that's the Star Trek little TV version. And I'm sure there are other episodes where they talk about the dilithium crystals. And if you're a Star Trek fan, which I appreciate the oldies, the old ones, but I haven't watched all the new ones, so I'm not in the know. But if you're in the know in the Star Trek world, feel free to hop in if you know anything about dilithium crystals. And if not, it's just maybe a little fun work for us to go explore that some other time, each of us on our own. Okay, now we have this, and I don't know if any of you can readily tell what movie that's from. It's from the Muppet-oriented movie called The Dark Crystal, and it's representing an amethyst. So I'll read just the quick cheat sheet on the spiritual symbolism. There is, it's purple, so that would be the crown chakra, and it talks about wisdom, tranquility. It's a very high frequency energy for protection, good for protection, meditation, bringing out your intuition. Now, one thing I do know about amethyst, also from past years learning about crystals, is supposedly it's good. Now, I'm not recommending anyone do this. If you do, I don't think too many of us, if you've found my channel, probably do. I've never been one to drink or do drugs, but if you drank a little too much, or someone has, rather, it's good against hangovers, good against kind of like excess in alcohol. So just a little side note with amethyst. But of course, it has many other amazing properties. And again, I invite, for any of this is just a springboard for all of you to look into any of these further. And especially if I say something and it kind of like, obviously like it does a little ping for you, that means, listen to your intuition and kind of follow that trail and be aware of some of these things. Or if you get a little hit like, oh, that somehow that's standing out to me, then even if it makes sense now, it might make sense sometime after the show. In your real world, when you're doing stuff, it may come across your path and you might be getting a little premonition of that's going to happen. Okay. And Rita's is one of her favorite movies. I'm guessing that was maybe Titanic then. Okay. Now we're going to look at The Dark Crystal. So I never saw this movie, with that huge, crystal, until recently. So it was free on YouTube. So I'm like, okay, I've heard a lot about it. It's never been kind of my vibe. When I saw some of the imagery, I'm like, ooh, it does feel dark. Hence the name Dark Crystal. But then there was a lot of positive aspects to it too, like a whole fae and fairy realm. And there's a little fairy girl type thing, and she sings to the plants and to the animals, and it's really beautiful. But still, overall vibe for me, I just, to be transparent on this, I just watched it, but I was like skip through it. Just there's something about the vibe, and it did not resonate with me. However, since there was crystal involved, a while ago, and especially when I was into doing healing with crystals, I decided to pick up this deck because there's a tarot deck called The Dark Crystal, and I kind of would like the artwork. And again, this is before I saw the movie. And this particular deck, and again, I'll give credits down in the description area, but it's really nice because all the way around this thing, literally, the packaging of this box, I'm just showing you because most tarot decks don't go to this level of detail. They have like the storyline going all the way around this thing. And then, even on the inside, let me get this right. On the inside, they have artwork, so it's really pretty. So at the very end, I'm just showing this now since we're talking about dark crystal. I will probably pull from that deck at the very end of the show. Okay, now I'm not going to give I'm not going to do a spoiler on this, so it's just I'll invite you to, if you feel that movie is resonating with you to watch, if you haven't already, that might be one for you to check into. Okay, now this movie, I don't know if any of you can name it before I say it. Give you a minute. This one comes from an 80s rom-com movie called Romancing the Stone. And this one is called The Jewel of the Nile in the movie. And it's like an emerald, I think, from Colombia. And so let me read what emerald is. And as you can see, it's huge. I mean, it's a big chunk of one. And so emerald can be a lot of things. Oh, I'll show you a real one. Here's a palm stone I got once of real emerald. This one's very dark. So what I showed you obviously is when it's all polished and cut, it can look really vibrant. But again, go by each emerald has its own character. So even if you saw, say you went to go buy a necklace and it's got a huge, pendant style emerald like this heart of the ocean, like imagine that, but it's like a huge emerald. Even if you had 10 seeming identical necklaces like that in a line and somebody said, hey, pick one, it's on me, it's for free. Each one, even if they were supposedly cut identical, same weight of carat and all of that, you still would get a different vibe coming off of any one of those things. So again, all of this is about intuition, what you feel, your resonance, your frequency, and the gem's frequency. And then also you have the added factor. And if someone said, oh, pick one, you choose, you would also have the energy and frequency of whatever craftsman was working on that individual necklace. Just like cooking. Like if you have a loving parent cooking or somebody who's bitter and disgruntled and hates their kids, your food is going to taste totally different. Same thing if you go to a restaurant and the chef's had a really bad day, probably the chef is going to be of good vibration, but just say there's one who isn't, you're going to feel it in the food. There will be a sense of joy, even if everyone uses the exact same ingredients, because I think all of us know by now, doesn't it? It's nice if somebody home cooks something for you, you kind of feel the love versus, even cooking yourself by something for yourself. It's good, but there's that extra magic, that extra, je ne sais pas, it's extra beautiful energy, coming through. Well, that's also with crystals and with our energy field and the crystal's energy field. So I would say the crystals are sentient beings, just as we are. And there's a energy communicated and vibrant off of these things. So anyway, that's just a little side trip. I don't know why I did it. Anyway, so romancing the stone, we have the emerald. And the emerald, it is green. So as I mentioned earlier, the heart chakra, the energy centers in the body, the wheels moving around with the energy frequency, that pertains to the heart chakra, the green color. Like I said, it can be green or pink. So emerald will go with that. That's green. So it's going to embody love, properties of rebirth, wisdom, and emotional healing, because we've got green like nature, the growth and the healing properties. And again, dig in further. There's so much more to all of these crystals and all of their meanings. So now let's jump over to another TV series from the early 70s. It scared me and intrigued me at the same time. If you look at it now as an adult, it's a joke, but I was little and I was like frightened by it. But Land of the Lost, the TV version. And they did a remake in the early 2000s. But I haven't watched that one. I'm just talking about the old TV series. So here we have this, it's supposed to be a reptilian or reptoid figure. However, he is the evolved version. So a very spiritually enlightened version. His name is Enoch, and he is an Altrusian in the series. And anyway, he's in this crystal cave, and it's a long story, but if you know the general premise, a little family's on a raft. They get lost, Land of the Lost. They don't know where they are. They're kind of on Earth, but they're also kind of not. That Earth version they're in, if it is Earth, it's like a parallel version. It has multiple moons and big planets in the horizon. It has T-Rexes. It has the devolved version of this Altrusian here, and they run around. They're green. They look, really giant, like him. And so they're just in this other world. Actually, funnily enough, they also have like Sasquatch family and all kinds of stuff going on there. And they have these crystals, they have these pylons, they have interdimensional themes. So really, this was heavily loaded for little kids to be watching. And yet, again, for me, all of these were put out on purpose. This Star Trek, Star Wars, they were all meant for the quote unquote star seeds on this planet. And again, on a previous show, I tell you, I link you to a video that explains all about what star seeds are, or people that are remembering that what we're here for is to raise the consciousness and raise the vibrations on this planet. And these were little like breadcrumbs, like a Hansel and Gretel situation for star seeds to remember that, okay, we're going to be dropped on this planet. We're going to be told a lot of stuff that doesn't feel true in the heart space. And we don't understand why there's war, why there's people getting hurt, why anyone has to suffer. We don't get it. We don't understand it, why people are lying. That goes against who we are when we dropped in as the God spark. However, we're going to get clues in these movies. Don't worry. There's a path back home to elevating this planet if we remember there are things like crystals and portals and raising our consciousness. So anyway, all that to say, and I see Mary, oh, sorry, I'm sorry if I said your handle wrong. Marianne, I think I get it. She says, I hated this Lee stack. Yeah, this Lee stack scared the crap out of me when I was little. Now when I look at it, it's just like so stupid when you see the props and costumes, but it's very like, oh my gosh, what's going on when I saw them as a kid. Anyway, so the father of the family on the raft that gets lost in Land of the Lost, back to the story, he is holding this device. Interestingly enough, it's like a copper outline of a pyramid with this crystal within it. So long story short, it's a magical crystal that's going to can help you do time travel. However, if you don't know the coordinates of where you're going, it is useless. So this Altrusian is using this to go back to his dimension. And this guy's like, well, hey, I needed to go back to mine. But he's like, hey, I don't know the coordinates. It's not going to serve you. So that was that whole side story. Anyway, the crystal that they show, again, looks kind of like a pure white, maybe a Lemurian quartz, something very vibrant. So I'll read you the cheat sheet on that for spiritual properties of Lemurian quartz. And that is, obviously, it is very clear. It's kind of like of the ethers. It holds a very strong and palpable energy. Again, back to like the diamond, like purity. But it holds ancient wisdom. So it's often referred to as like a wisdom keeper. And I had an example. Wait, I do have an example. Oh, wait, this isn't Lemurian quartz. Okay, I have another example I'll show later in the Star Wars show coming up, by the way. There's another show coming up Monday where I'm going to be talking about crystals, and that one's going to be in that show, the Lemurian quartz especially. I'll have an example to show. I don't have it on my table. But anyway, just think of like a quartz crystal, something like this, except much more vibrant. Okay, so here's quartz crystal, but think of something that just has an otherworldly vibration to it. And then you've got Lemurian quartz. And so that's known to be a wisdom keeper, like ancient Lemurian and other knowledge stored within some of these crystals. Also, what else? It's also connected with love. Some call it the master crystal, so that it's, about spiritual awakening and can do deep emotional healing. Pretty much, it's just a pure high frequency crystal and can do any number of things. When we talk about just simple quartz crystal, like this, whether it's totally clear or not as much. Here, let me put on my black shirt background. There you go. Any of this, the clear quartz crystal is known to be an amplifier. So I've talked about this in previous shows, and it'll be in the link in one of my first crystal shows, that almost 2-hour one explaining all this. But anybody knows, if especially around in the 80s, that everything was all about quartz movement in a watch, right? Quartz movement in this clock. It was a big deal they made out of quartz movement. Well, they meant a literal piece of quartz is in that watch or that clock. And then in the fancier, like Cartier versions, or I don't know if that exact brand, but in the finer, quote unquote, finer made jewelry and watches, they'll put a piece of ruby in there. I've seen, I think maybe even sapphire. And so there is something about each crystal carries a different frequency. And so that quartz piece, the literal quartz piece in the watch, is a frequency regulator and does help with the movement. So I invite you, I forgot to bring the little excerpt about how it works exactly. But yeah, look it up on your own for, again, fun work, not homework, and see how quartz movement propels and keeps the watch going. It's very fascinating, I think, anyway. Okay, we're going to get to another page of more movies. And I'll what I'll do is I'll point and I'll see if you can name it before I say it, just for extra fun. How about that? Okay. And I wanted to say, sorry, I haven't been like seeing everyone in the chat, but welcome, Lake Superior Skywatcher and Nature Lover, who says The Dark Crystal was her boy's favorite movie. That's good. Yeah, it didn't click for me, but I'm happy when it does for somebody else. Sarah says, hey, everyone. Hey there, Sarah. And let's see. Oh, and Sarah also says, so true about the food, whatever I was talking about earlier. And then let's see. Yeah. And then we have, sorry, I can't read so well. So if I get your name wrong, forgive me. But oh, Imaginavian, hey there, says, hey, everyone, with a heart. All right. So let's get to our next batch of movies and we'll see if you can name them. Now, okay, I guess I'll start over here. So these two go together. Oh, wrong way. These two go together. So these are clear quartz crystals. And this guy is putting them in a device. So I don't know if you get it, but there's two characters here. Maybe I can put it a little closer. So that comes from the movie. You got it. Imaginavian got it. All right. I love it. That comes from Napoleon Dynamite. And now, if you haven't seen that movie and you really want to laugh, it's bittersweet. I don't know if you agree, Imaginavian, but and everyone else out there, that is the one movie I have ever seen in my life where it is so cringy from the beginning to the end, the entire movie. And I'm not going to give any of the movie away other than the little one quick thing on the pictures I show. But oh my gosh, it's kind of like it's like a train wreck. You don't want to watch it, but yet you're compelled to watch. That was this movie all the way through. And I think I had to watch it another time to like be able to enjoy it and not just be like cringe, but they nail it. The director, I can't remember the name of the people, they nail the art of the cringe, but also combined with intense, comedy. So especially if you know about the 80s at all, they harken back to that and they just captured it. So anyway, it is, somebody, an Imaginavian is saying is I think ND meaning North Dakota to a T. So it takes place in this small town. But anyway, if you want to laugh, if it's your humor, oh my gosh, it's a good-hearted movie. It's like total PG but just a lot of fun. Anyway, back to it. So this is one. It's so much comedy in there. But anyway, in this scene, Napoleon, he is duped. I'm going to give it away. Spoiler alert. So put it on mute if you don't want to know. But he's wearing this band and there's this box. And so these guys aren't the brightest, colors in the box. They're not the sharpest tools in the shed, so to speak. So this family, there's an uncle and he orders a time machine because he wants to go back and be this football hero. And he thinks if he goes back in time, he can do it. So they order this crappy, it's just a scam. It's a total scam time machine. And so on the instructions, it says to put crystals in this thing. And so he's got the band on his head. He's all ready to gear this thing up. This guy already learned the hard way. I mean, he fell for it too, but learned the hard way, but already knows it doesn't work. And so he's like in on it he's duping him extra, saying, oh, yeah, it really works. Meanwhile, he knows it's going to hurt him, like physically hurt him with like an electrical charge. But anyway, he puts on this band and he's like, oh, forgot to put the crystals in. So again, illustrating the point in the movies that these are the clear quartz crystals, which, are amplifiers, like I was talking about, with that quartz movement in the watch, right? And actually, I have other pieces I can pull out. I was going to wait till Monday's show, but here's just like a bigger piece too. Now, this one isn't clear like the other one. It's a little, foggy, but, just another example. All right. That's that movie. So we got that movie. Now, here's another one, maybe lesser known to people out there. I don't know if you know this movie. Let me hold it up closer. So the one next to it. So this one, give you a hint, it's a claymation. And it was really cute. And the villain in the movie is a penguin disguised as a chicken. And it's British made. So anyway, it's called The Wrong Trousers. And so this villain is really good with tech. And this is a guy sleeping, and they call it the wrong trousers because he's like in these metal robotic plants. And the guy's, up on the ceiling because the boots are magnetic and they hold on to the ceiling. And so he's wearing a helmet. He's totally asleep. and this little like grapple hook comes down to try to grab the diamond. And so again, they show you the prize diamond, which I think is pretty cool in claymation world. That looks pretty nice. So anyway, that's a fun little movie. Again, total PG and really, really cute. So we talked about diamond and its meaning earlier. Now we're going to get to one that might make a lot of sense, and I'm sure there are people out there that can guess this right away. I'm just trying to think of which one I want to go to first. We'll do this one first. Okay, so then we have this movie. These all apply. I'm sorry, hold on. This way. These all are the same movie, and this is a different movie, these two. So I don't know if any of you can guess which movie these all go to. And that is The Hobbit. So the J.R.R. Tolkien books starts off with The Hobbit and then moves into The Lord of the Rings down here. So in The Hobbit, and again, I don't want to totally give it away for anyone who might read the book or watch the movie, but basically we have our protagonist, Bilbo Baggins, enters into a whole treasure hoard of a dwarven city called Erebor, and the dwarves had to evacuate because this dragon came in and set up shop. And so everyone had to get out of there, obviously. Huge dragon, like it would be like this big in this picture. So because of that, here he is waking up. There's a stone somewhere in this mess, all of this territory. This guy, Bilbo Baggins, is commissioned or contracted by the dwarves to go in and act as a thief to go back and reclaim this magical, amazing stone called the Heart of the Mountain. And it's also called the Arkenstone, and it's also called the King's Jewel. So he's a hobbit, so there's a whole reason why he's chosen as a thief, and I don't want to give the whole movie away, but he does, find this Arkenstone. Now, if you take a good look at that Arkenstone, that is reminding me a lot of an opal. And at the beginning of the movie, and I put scenes of this in my, what do I call it? In the post section, I posted some clips, or in my shorts section on my channel, some clips from these movies so you can better see, than my little sheets, what's going on. So to me, in the shorts clip, you'll see like different auras and energies and light, it's magical light playing around that stone when they first mine it. It's in the prologue. Before you even get going into the Hobbit movie, it's at the very beginning. They kind of tell the backstory behind it. So to me, that's like an opal. And so the cheat sheet version of the spiritual, properties of opal is that, yes, it's like very mystical. It's like of the ethers. It's amplification stone as well. And it really embodies hope. Also, again, purity. A lot of these kind of will have some of the same properties that I'm listing with the different crystals. But it's also purity, a spiritual anchor, also known as a bridge between the spiritual and the upper dimensional worlds, like heavenly realms. And it does have that feeling to it. I don't know if you've ever looked at an opal. I mean, obviously, the rarer ones get even more wild looking. You can almost like look into them forever. And that's whether it's a white one. In this case, it's like a more of an Ethiopian opal. There's also black opal. There's all kinds. Now, there's also opalite. A lot of you might have seen that gem, like opalite. It's a little more translucent, but the real magic happens in the true opals, I find. All right. Now, I'm also going to talk about, even though it isn't a crystal in the movie, but to me, the eye of this dragon, and the dragon, by the way, if you don't know it, is called Smog, is his name. But if you look at that eye, sorry, I'm trying to bring it in. The eye is, and again, it's better if you watch it in the shorts, YouTube shorts, or in the post section. The eye itself looks very much like amber to me. Now, amber is a crystal. It's very interesting. Amber, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. There's regular amber and there's also green amber. But I'm talking about the amber that's kind of yellow to orange tones in it. Now, amber is actually a resin that comes from a tree. And they're most famous for washing up on the shores and the beaches of the Baltic Sea. And there's a difference between, I had to look this up myself before coming on here. There's a difference between resin and sap. And actually, I'm going to read a little bit about that. But the basic, like distilling this down to the basics about it is, a sap is more of a water that carries nutrients and circulates around the tree. The resin is like a thicker, I'm sure you've probably seen it on a tree in your area, wherever you live in the world. It's a little stickier. It comes out of the tree to protect it from insects, because the odor of it is something they don't like, and also they know they get stuck in it. And also it helps seal the tree if there's like a wound in the tree, which makes sense. So those are two different things, sap and resin. Just thought I'd mention it. Also when somebody taps a tree for maple syrup, I think that's more sap, not resin. And resin is used, actually, I don't think I'll read it. I'll just tell you then. Resin is used like in varnishes. It's a pigment that can, turn the wood, a different color and such. Okay, so that's a difference. Now there are different resins people use to do clearing work, when they call smoking it, like smudging. Some people might take the resin of, like, I think dragon's blood or frankincense. There's that form of it that you can like burn and either do a clearing ceremony or just have it for the fragrance, whatever, like an incense. And actually even incense has some of those resins, used on the stick to apply the other, scent. I don't know exactly how, but I just know it does somehow. Oh, hey, Chu, welcome. A little wave there. Thanks for being here. Okay, so now we'll move on to a different movie. And the next one, I'm sure a lot of you out there might know this. Let's see, by this actor over here. So now we'll just look at these two. Okay, and this movie is Lord of the Rings. And this is like an animated animation somebody did of the palantir. So this happens in the extended version of Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, so the third movie. And there's like this huge crystal ball, but they call it the palantir. And in this case, it's like a communicator, like two-way communication between, in this case, an all dark force. And, in this case, the protagonist is looking into it. And, but anyway, it's like a huge, huge kind of crystal ball, right? And that crystal ball could be like clear quartz. Again, we've got the amplifying properties. All right. So I'm not going to say too much more on this, because that's worth actually reading the books. For anybody that's kind of steered clear of Lord of the Rings, the movies, I appreciate parts of them, but it's like way too much focus on war and killing and death, which weren't in the original, not in the original Lord of the Rings. So I highly recommend reading the literature first, and then maybe watching the movies. The literature is much richer. I mean, it includes the elven language. There's so many mystical, magical things in there. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, Aragorn, woohoo! I got read it with an exclamation and a heart. Yeah, Aragorn is fun too. I think they cast him very well. I'm going to do a little side trip. So the casting of Aragorn, it needed somebody who could carry the wisdoms and strength, but also compassion. So the perfect blend, I think, of the masculine and feminine, and everything that somebody could aspire and hope to be as a human being, whether you're male or female, in that character. If you read the books, again, not looking at the movie, you're not going to get that depth. But, if you read the books, the character itself, also Faramir is also up there equally as far as that kind of a person. So I think, though, that in the casting, they did find the right actor to embody strength, but also compassion, at the same time. Okay, that was my little aside. All right, now we're going to get to another one. We only have a couple more sheets to go. Let's see. These, I think most people will know most of these. There are two of these that are kind of more obscure. So should we start with the more obscure ones? I think we should. Okay. Or actually, you know what? I won't. I'll start with the more well-known ones and see. It'll give you more time to look at the obscure ones. So foreshadowing hint, the more obscure ones are probably this one for people and this one. Maybe not. For me, they were. And then on this other side, we have the more popular ones. So I'll go right here first. We have this medallion that goes with Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. So spoiler alert, mute me if you don't want to know. If you haven't seen it, you have to, because, if you see it, you don't want it ruined. But anyway, this is the masthead. This goes on the top of a staff in the map room at Tanis. And when he puts this on top of the wooden staff, the light comes through the crystal, and that beam, sorry, everything's reversed. So if I'm pointing crazy, it's just because this is reversed, hard to do. It's mirrored for me. So anyway, this beam points right to where the Ark of the Covenant is buried, supposedly, in this story, of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So when we look at this itself, it's gold. And I don't know if that's supposed to be a ruby, it's red, or if it's some type of like topaz. I'm assuming a ruby. So when we look at the quick version on what a ruby is spiritually meaning, it's passion, protection, prosperity. And what do we have? We have the color red. So as far as the chakra or the energy centers, the energy wheels in the body, that's going to be the root or the base. So imagine, working from your head, go down. That's where it is. So that's the vibration of it. But again, it's like passion, protection, prosperity. And again, for me, any of these crystals or their meanings, it's going to depend on the exact specimen or sample that you're holding to get the vibe out of it. Because you could have something that's supposed to be all those things, but depending on where it came from, who handled it, might carry, a different vibration. Oh, and Rita's saying the books are much better. Yeah, they are. Going back to Lord of the Rings. Okay, so anyway, that's for Ruby and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, over here is another Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones series. This is Indiana Jones talking with a young man in a restaurant, and a guy with a black hat, kind of like Men in Black, heavy FBI vibe, is walking up. They're talking. So that comes from the movie Indiana Jones and something of the Crystal Skulls. I can't remember the name right now. I am giving a little disclaimer. I watched that movie, but there is a frequency being played in there. I can't watch it. It was so low vibe to me. I won't get into it too much, but toward the end scenes, I couldn't watch it. I had to like turn it off or like fast forward. To me, very, very bad vibe. So I really was not happy watching any of that movie. And so I don't recommend it. I really don't. If you want to know what the skulls look like or whatever, maybe just, do an internet search and look at some images. There was something, the frequency, not good, at least for me. Now, someone else could watch and say, what? It was no big deal. To me, it takes a lot for me to say I'm going to turn off a movie or not. It has to be extreme. And for me, there was just a vibe, literally not good for the energy field. I didn't feel anyway. So I think you can skip it. But anyway, the point is there are crystal skulls in that, movie. So I but I wanted to include it and touch on it. Another form of crystal. But for me in general, I don't vibe with the whole crystal skull thing. Now, I know a lot of people do. I'm not knocking it. Just for me personally, no, I just don't. Okay, now we'll go to another mainstream movie. You may know, maybe not. These two, I'm trying to reach. These two photos go with the next movie. And I'll give you a hint. It's a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And it was number 4 on Stranger Tides. So I put the YouTube shorts on my channel, if you want to see a little bit about it, or I post in the post section a little clip of the movie. But anyway, pirate, over here, he is up in a building and he swings down on a rope into this carriage, and he's not the best morality with this pirate, and he needs to, what do pirates do, right? They steal treasure in our lore. So he swings in and of course seizes an opportunity. She's a high society woman. She's got a jeweled necklace and dangling jeweled earrings. So he comes in and he swings in, he looks at her, and he goes to like kiss her ear and, get her all romanticized. And then she doesn't realize it. But as he exits, they show him. And what did he do? He had taken her earring. And so the earring was sapphire, which we already covered. So anyway, a lot of these, again, like I said, with jewels, when there are jewels involved, is somebody stealing them or plotting to steal them. Okay, now we have the 2 movies that you may or may not know. I'll get back to it. So this one in the lower corner, I only, found while I was researching these things. I had never even, I'm trying to, here, you can see that. So here's this guy looking at this thing. So that is from the movie that I only found while I was looking at crystals and movies and looking things up. It's a movie called The Core. And from what I take it, it's not going to be my kind of movie. But it's a group of scientists. They're looking for crystals and other kinds of things to power things. It's just a very dummy down version of it. And I don't remember the full thing. I didn't really dive into getting to know the whole plot. All I know is that this guy is trying to power something to go into the core of the earth or whatever. And he goes, and they need, and scientists approach him to help develop something further for them. And he's got crystals inside of this thing, and he's calling this rare mineral or whatever to help them unobtainium. So I've heard that phrase thrown around. So I don't know if it was first coined in that movie or somewhere else, but I just thought I would mention it again. It's not a movie I'm going to watch personally, but I thought I would throw it in there. Oh, and sorry, I want to get your name right. Sorry for not saying it correctly, but I think it's Marianne Rand is asking, is the Black Pearl mentioned in that movie? Oh, that's a good one. The Black Pearl, that's another thing too, right? The symbolism of the pearl. I don't, yes, they mention it. They mention what happened to it, I think. Yeah, they do. They talk about, oh yeah, they do. That's an extensive like thing surrounding the Black Pearl, but I'm not going to give that away. So that's if somebody's into it. But absolutely they do. Yeah. Okay. One more movie. Some of you may or may not know. Again, this was a TV miniseries, and I think it was a BBC, so British one. Let's see. I didn't know or find out about it until like 2010. But this one with these two characters. So actually, this is a character named Marion, and I forget this guy's name. But anyway, they both are holding something. And I won't give away what it is, although I did post it in one of the shorts or the posts showing a little movie clip. But again, another very bright, luminous stone. And in this case, I don't want to give away what it is, for the movie, but let's just say it's otherworldly. And if it were to be a worldly earth-based one, it would be, again, something like a Lemurian quartz is the closest I could probably associate that with. So that movie, before I go off to the next one and forget to say it, and do let me know in the chat if I forget to do that. It's not past me to just like get all excited about something, go off on a side, trail, and then forget to tell you what it was. But that comes from the movie Dinotopia. Now, I think there's an animated version, like cartoon version, and this was the real life series. And actually, I have it right here. So I have the DVD cover. So this is like I think 3 discs, and they made it into a live action show. So if you like dinosaurs and don't know about this, this is for you. It's like a kid's movie. However, tons of tells. I call them hint drops when they put them in the movies, stuff that is kind of really truths, but they just give you like a little bit of one, for people like us who are waking up or awake and aware to go, oh, that's in real life happening, or that's a clue to the past that really happened. So anyway, interesting little movie perhaps for some of you. Okay. And actually, give me 1 second. Hang on. Okay. Oh, also, I just forgot to hold up something. So if you're interested in The Hobbit, there is a combo pack. I'm not endorsing anybody or promoting anything. This is just if you're going to watch it anyway. One great way to do this with some of these movies is, instead of streaming, because there's a cost associated per month with streaming on some of these platforms, is you can also go to some sites that have, I don't want to give any one platform, shout out, but let's just say there's like a lot of used books and used movie markets that do have really good deals. So this one is a combo of the Hobbit trilogy and the Lord of the Rings, like all in one. But you can go to some platforms and like pennies on the dollar, just get a rental, and it's going to be half the cost of a month streaming membership or something. So just a little, food for thought there. Okay. So that was Dinotopia. Now we're going to move into a movie I didn't see. I think a lot of you probably have. Oh, I don't know how many of you have, but some people have. I never did. It's one of those, I'm going to say it in parts because I don't want to give anybody credit here in terms of like these big powerhouse things that are leaning to the dark side, but dis and then me. It's Atlantis, the Lost Empire. Now, again, I only found this when I was doing a little digging on crystals and movies, and I had heard people talk about it, but I never saw it. It kind of just came out at a time when I wasn't watching any of these kinds of things. But it's about Atlantis, obviously, the Lost Empire. And this is like an opening scene of stuff going on. And I'll just say, because I haven't seen the movie, but I saw like a little clip of the intro of this. And, there's like a priestess in Atlantis, and she has this pure crystal. Again, look at this lighting up crystal. To me, that's similar to that Dinotopia crystal. But, very much like a Lemurian crystal, even though they're saying Atlantis. And then this is a view. She's looking up and like this crystallized dome is starting to come over the city. There's like tidal waves and destruction coming. And so this dome forms over the city. And this is the view of her looking up like through this thing. And so there's this weird thing. Now, some people have seen that in real life, captured it on film or video over the UK, I think on March 24th or 27th, a couple years ago. Saw something like that up in the sky. So that's just a little aside that somebody might be hint dropping in this movie. But anyway, the point is she's got like a crystal necklace, because I am sticking to the topic of crystals and the silver screen. Anyway, she's looking up. This ice thing is forming over a crystallized, maybe not even ice, but crystalline structure is starting to form this dome over the city. And then what happens? The whole thing like sinks down under the ocean. But that they're protected. So like no fear there. Somehow they were protected. Right? So anyway, her necklace, again, we've already talked about Lemurian quartz and others. And then when I was looking at that, I'm like, that's an interesting concept, that this whole crystalline dome formed over the city and then it went down, because then we have this imagery over here. Whoops. Sorry, I can't reach right and it's mirrored. Okay, over here, see that crystalline sphere with the light coming out of it? It's very reminiscent of what's happening in that Atlantis thing, except in the reverse. This sphere pops up, busts up out of the ocean, and then this beam of light opens it up. And that's from the Last Airbender, the live action movie, Avatar, The Last Airbender. So anyway, I had to include that after seeing this, that imagery. And then it's like her necklace. So this comes from Rogue One, another movie, Star Wars movie. And I'm not going to touch on this too much because I'm going to do talking all about this on Monday on the May the 4th Be With You show, celebrating Star Wars Day and the good things that happen in Star Wars on the light side of the Force. But anyway, this is what's called a kyber crystal. And again, when you look at it, it's like that clear quartz or Lemurian quartz. All right. And then we'll get to one more movie while we're on this sheet. And I just need a break from holding it up. This one, any of you that love dragons and cartoons, animations, this is a scene from, gosh, no, I'm forgetting, How to Train Your Dragon. And this is in the third movie. And it's, I think, something called like The Hidden Sea. I have to look it up again. I can't believe I don't have it here. But anyway, I don't want to give away the whole movie, but let's just say they end up going into a cave and there's all these crystals. Okay. So that's another movie with crystals. So many movies with crystals. There's a big hint drop in that movie too, that How to Train Your Dragon movie about Inner Earth. A huge, huge hint drop. Okay. All right. So now, let's see. I do have a kind of a theme on this last sheet, more or less. This last sheet we're going to be looking at, and let's make sure I'm not missing anything. I think we're good. This last sheet is going to be like the more superhero intensive, sheet. So there's a lot of gems and crystals, so super intensive in these like comics, DC Comics, Marvel universes. And of course, I guess I'll start with a fun one down here. And I'm sure if you even remotely have heard of anything about Marvel and the Avengers and all that stuff, maybe you know what this thing is right here. So it's like a golden glove or gauntlet, and it's got all these little stones in it. So I will leave this as a rhetorical guess. This comes from the Avengers, the Marvel series, and it is called the Infinity Stones. And so each stone has a different meaning in the universe, the world of the comics of Marvel. And I just remember that this is the Soul Stone, and each of them have a different meaning. So I'll leave that to you for fun work to look up what each one is. One has to do with time travel. They all have different properties. And so this is also, I found interesting from that universe. They create like the infinity symbol, the sideways 8. And they put the different stones on there and tell you what their properties and powers are. And I'm just going to do like a little drop and go on this. I'm not going to get into each one on this show. That might be fuel, pun intended, for another show in and of itself. But anyway, very interesting. If any of you have kids, Marianne says clearly not a tesseract. And I think the blue one is the blue tesseract from that series. So especially if you have any children, you might have watched some of these movies. It was big back in the day when they came out. But anyway, that's a whole nother universe, whole nother thing of what those do. And that's just particular to that Marvel universe. So I'm just going to leave it right there. Then we have Superman. This is the one with Christopher Reeve from like 1978. And he has kryptonite. So that's, this glowing, emerald looking like jewel. It's green. I would also say it could be like fluorite. Fluorite can be green, purple, or like a mix. And then he needs this, again, spoiler alert. He needs that. Hang on. He needs this. He throws it somewhere in the ice in the Arctic, and it makes this whole like a palace of fortitude or whatever they call it. His whole like stronghold, his base camp. It's all crystals. And so there's a lot involving crystals in that movie from 1978, especially the very beginning of this movie. It goes into a lot of stuff about crystals, so you might want to watch it. In this case, too, in Superman 2, the crystals are record keepers, like we talked about the Lemurian quartz crystal being a record keeper, holding ancient wisdoms. They totally nail that concept in here, talking about how they use the crystals in that second movie. It's a literal like library. So again, if you want to check into that more, those are those movies. Then we have, let's see, I'll go up to this one. Then we have, if you can see it, sorry, I'm trying to do this. We have Wonder Woman 1984. So the newer Wonder Woman movies, there's this thing called the Dream Stone. And the Dream Stone is, they even joke about it being citrine in this supposed ancient artifact. Here, I'll hold it up a little bit. So that's citrine. And then Wonder Woman is holding it later because it is called the Dream Stone. Again, spoiler alert, you can make a wish on it. And so she inadvertently, she's kind of holding it and having like a silent wish, but it actually wishes on it. I don't want to give too much of the movie away. However, so citrine in that movie, the main characters are even joking about it. Wonder Woman's nemesis in this movie is the character Cheetah. Again, comic book series, DC Comics. And Cheetah is she goes by Dr. Barbara Minerva is her normal person name, just like Wonder Woman is Diana Prince. So anyway, Barbara Minerva, supposedly in this movie anyway, the Wonder Woman 1984, they say that she has a background not only in gemology, but cryptology, even they throw it in there and a few other things. Anyway, Barbara Minerva jokes about this, finding this supposedly ancient artifact and says, oh, but this looks like a fake. It looks like citrine. And she makes a joke like, oh, in all these ancient artifacts, a lot of the fakes, they put citrine in it. So I don't know why they were joking about that so much. But citrine can be yellow, kind of orangish. And so citrine would be, and as far as the chakras in the body, the energy centers or energy wheels in the body, that would be associated with yellow is solar plexus. So down, the stomach area, when you say like have a gut feeling. And that one also though represents joy, abundance. It's dubbed the vitamin C of the soul, because it's yellow, it's joyful, even orange. Think of oranges and lemons. We think of good health and abundance. Like look at an orange tree. I mean, it's laden with a ton of stuff. So or lemons. Anyway, so that's just a little bit there. So in that movie, if you want to check that out further, then we have this movie, and I'm going to have to look it up again. Because I can't remember the name of the crystal, but in the Dune. So if you like the books or the movies, especially the newer movies that came out on Dune, that's not my world and my universe, although there's so many overlaps with that in Star Wars. But just the way it's done, not quite my thing. I can appreciate the artistry and some of the direction, although not the 80s movie of it. The 80s movie of Dune also rubbed me the complete wrong way. Maybe you guys like it, but to me, it was like that frequency thing that I said I can't watch it on the Indiana Jones Crystal Skull movie. I think it's called Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. Could not watch it. Dune, there's a vibe in there that no, I just can't go there. So, but for other people, they just love it. So again, great. If it lifts you up and gives you high vibes, awesome. Otherwise, so the movie, there's a good part of it, Dune, like dunes in the desert, right? So first off, sand is a crystal. It's comprised of crystals, crystal particles, crushed crystals. And that's just another fun work assignment I'm throwing out there. If you don't already know about it, go look online and put sand under a microscope and it's intense. It's incredible. You see these perfect crystals. Some even look like a heart, and there's just tons of different colors. That's a talk about a universe. That's a whole fascinating universe, and in just one grain of sand. It's really cool. So I highly recommend you go look that up. So anyway, aside from in the dune world that they're being sand, which is crystals, they also have something. You know what? I don't want to get this wrong. I knew the name before I started the show. I want to say it's something like iridium. They call it in that universe, but let me look it up to make sure. Um, Let's see, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And we can look it up. I think we can look it up right away. Hang on, give me a second. Begins with an R. That I know. They also have something called a crysknife in that movie, which is supposedly a sacred weapon, but that's made from the tooth of a dead sandworm. Let me see. Oh, here it is. See, I said it wrong. That's why it's good to look it up. It's Redulian, if I'm saying it right, or yeah, Redulian. And they're saying it's a material that can be processed into extremely thin sheets, only a few molecules thick, used for books and storing information. Now that's interesting because to me that sounds a lot like mica. You know, it's in thin sheets and has different properties to it. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But anyway, that's just another little thing. If that's your kind of interest to go off and look into that world. Now, I have these two pictures representing Dune because there's these giant earthworms in there. And these are worm riders. And this guy did a great cosplay. So he made this costume. He had one of those like uniwheel, what do you call them? Like, it's not a scooter, but I don't even know what they call it. It's that uniwheel. You sit on the little thing. It's got a wheel, and you just zoom around. Well, and it self-propels. He took that and took like some duct material or whatever, and he made this tube. And he's got these hooks, so he's doing cosplay of the worm rider. And I just thought it was hysterical. So I did post the video to that in my shorts because I thought the guy, just as far as cosplay, if you like dressing up, going to Comic-Con or any of those things, that's what it reminded me of when I went down this comics route. Oh, then we have one more, let's see, one or two more movies. Oh, let me go back. Sorry, didn't finish the thought on Dune. So this is a picture of what did I say it was called? Redulian or something? That's a picture of it. And then somebody in real life took this crystal, and I think it's an aquamarine, saying, oh, it looks like that. But to me, that looks more like an opalite. But again, we're talking about a movie, universe world, and just trying to equate to, what in real life that could look like. And I think it's close. It could be opalite. It could be like a amethyst. Aquamarine. It makes sense. It could even be a type of blue topaz. So many of these crystals are so beautiful. And depending on what shade or range of them you find, they can look a lot like different types of crystals. Okay, then we have, let's see, one other one. I want to find a real life crystal because I have a bunch, like I said, I got a bunch of oracle cards to look to at the end of the show. And actually I can show, well, you know what, I'll go through it. Why not? I'll come back to what I was talking about. My last example is Aquaman, so just remind me if I miss it. This is fluorite when I talked about the Superman movie. Oops, sorry about the lighting. It can be purple, can be greenish. It can be pure purple, pure green. So that just reminded me of the kryptonite a little bit. Citrine that I talked about with the Wonder Woman movie. That's just an example. And actually I didn't give the message. Let me go back. Let's go back. Why not? I'll do the oracle part 2 now. So find peace within with fluorite. This is bringing the light with citrine. And again, citrine can be yellow. It can go toward orangish color, maybe a little bit brownish as well. The Dinotopia movie, that glowing light, rock, they call it a sunstone, but actually real sunstone looks different. So I'll show you just what the real sunstone is, not to be confused with what they were talking about in the movie. And sorry, let me read this first. It says, take pleasure in the things you do. So that's supposedly an example of sunstone. Then we have clear quartz, which I kept talking about. And the message here is get crystal clear. Little pun intended, right? Okay. And then we have Lemurian quartz, and they say practice patience. And that's Lemurian quartz. And this one So the thing that distinguishes this from some others is they call them record keepers because there's these little striations, these lines moving horizontally up and down. And they say that that's where kind of the records are stored in these things. That's a whole other fascinating world in and of itself if you just look up the marine quartz. Then amethyst, the message is trust your intuition, which, yes, does go hand in hand with amethyst. That one is obviously darker purple than my physical hands-on example. And then aquamarine, what I was just talking about, somebody was simulating that for the Dune movie. It's the message on that is go with the flow. So it's actually a little more blue in this. It's presenting a little more green, but in my real card, it's a little more blue. Go with the flow. Okay, and then we're getting to the one that I want to talk about. Also, some of those glowing stones that we're talking about in the right light could also be selenite, because if you get the right light shining on this, look, even from the computer, it's doing it. It kind of, really can kind of glow otherworldly. So this could apply to any of the ones that I also said were looking like opal. And selenite is also known for purity. Actually, it's really great if you're going to grid your house or want crystal protection around your house. I don't have it here, but you can get a wand of it. This is just a little wand. You can also get really big wands. And as far as crystals go, for right now in the market, they're one of the more inexpensive ones. So you can get a huge piece of this for not too much money, unlike some other crystals. But anyway, I have a jumbo version of this I've shown on another show. And I lay them on the windowsills in my home to protect it. So protection of energies to protect from not only, what I want to say, like 3D things like theft or burglar or whatever, because they do put off an energy, and somebody meaning up to no good is not going to vibe with this frequency and might even like walk away not knowing why if they did try to attempt to do something. But also mainly on a spiritual frequency. There's so much that can come in from other realms. And again, a higher vibration of this stuff, especially at openings in the house. I find this is good just to keep on the windowsill. Me personally talking, obviously go with any other kind of crystal or any other means you want. I've also been known to put a river rock plus like a beach stone together and put them in the corners of the house. Just go with what you feel instinctually to do, because there's just so many types of crystals, that can be used for that, for protection and gridding and just raising the vibration in a home and clearing the energies in a home, especially if you're moving into somebody else's home, making it your, new home. Some of these things are good to have to change up the energies. Now I'll get back to, that was a long little, walkabout on the way to this one other movie that we'll close on as far as the movies that I have. And that is going to be the Aquaman, the remake from 2018, I think. Okay, and this is a scene I have more on the clip shown on the shorts section of my channel, but here it's this. So what we're seeing here, is a cluster of crystal points, and this here is a waterfall coming down. So these are crystals all embedded like in moss, like on rock, next to a waterfall. And what that reminded me of in real life is angel aura quartz. And the message from this one, just based on these cards, is lighten up. So, it's got that rainbow sparkly quality. And it just says, lighten up, angel aura quartz. That's a good message, I think, to end on with these movies that I had to show. So I don't know if anybody else. We got another suggestion. I was just going to say, perfect. You beat me to it, Rita. So if anybody has suggestions on other movies, Rita says you should check out Stargate SG-1, Season 1, Episode 7, called Cold Lazarus. It's an episode about crystal. I think you would like it. Oh, thank you. I will look. And again, I keep meaning to get there to watch Stargate SG-1. Rita's brought that up. Thank you. And other people too. And I know I'm supposed to watch it. So thanks for giving me more detailed and direction on an exact episode. I will definitely check it out. I will. All right. So that's all I had on the movie ones. And then I do have some other cards I was just going to read through rather quickly, because what I did was I pulled from 2 decks that are just about all about the crystals. Yeah, I'll hold them up. Why not? The one deck I pulled out any crystals that I mentioned. I pulled them from the Earth Alchemy Oracle. It's a really nice one. Has a good feeling and vibe to it. And I will show from this one I mentioned earlier, the Crystal Grid Oracle. And let's see. I'll start off with those two. And then at the very end, I think I will close with the Dark Crystal Tarot, the one I showed at the beginning. And I don't know if I showed it. Did I show the Lord of the Rings one? I don't know if I brought up the Lord of the Rings equivalent too, of that same, the people who made the other deck. So I probably at the very end will pull two cards from there. And also I will pull a card from the Tarot of Atlantis, but it only is showing the major arcana. This is an obscure little deck I found, and I was drawn to it, even though it only has the major arcana. That just means it has, fewer cards of the major arcana. It doesn't have the minor ones. But that's interesting artwork on that one too. So I will do that. So if cards are not your thing, now's a good time to go grab a refreshment and carry on with your day or night. And or if you're open to hearing them, because often what happens is I'll show some cards, but also different messages or different spiritual topics might come up. So I'm just going with the flow in all of this and seeing where we want to be led. So in this one, I'm going to show you 4 cards. I'm not going to go into deep read on them. These are just kind of like, I'm going to flash them up, give the message and go. And then as far as any more intensive messages, we'll leave that for the Tarot of Atlantis, the Dark Crystal, and the Lord of the Ring deck. So for right now, I'm just going to hold them up and move along. But again, as I put up these cards, you may, on your own, I don't have to say anything, you may get a kind of message off of it when you see or hear what I'm saying. So the first card I'm going to hold up is Herkimer Diamond. Again, this is going along the theme of I just pulled whatever cards pertain to the crystals that I talked about. So Herkimer Diamond is the closest thing I had to just diamond. And it's number 36 or number 9 for clarity. And this is the grid that this deck comes from Nicola McIntosh, put together. So that's just something in there. And again, when you see some of these things, when these creators of these grid decks, etc., they're done, they go by intuition, and they might be what's called an activator, or something that just looking at the symbols might, activate a memory or something in you. So anyway, there we go. And also, note the color of the background too. This might work in a specific way. Again, we talked about green being the heart chakra, one of them, pink the other. Then we have a nice card, selenite and angelite. Selenite is what I showed you, that really luminous, beautiful quality of vibration to it. We get number 19 or 10 or 1, angels, selenite and angelite. Now, angelite is also luminous and beautiful and a very pale blue. And so that's that configuration. And if you look carefully, we've got angel feathers in the background of all of that. It's very soft, very beautiful, very peaceful. Okay. Then we have number 10 or number 1 transformation, amethyst scepter. That's a grid she created for this one. Beautiful lavender, lilac, purple color, really soft. Whoops, sorry, I'm trying to make them straight and avoid the glare at the same time. That's a nice grid there. Then we have number 30 or 3, passion, ruby, record keeper. So we touched on ruby for the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie. That scepter masthead had ruby in it. Passion. That's an interesting configuration. I'll move in a little bit more on that. Okay, and I don't want to spend too long because I have a few more to go through. I don't want to bore anybody. Okay, now, and these are in no particular order, but we have the Diamond Ray. Now, this is coming from that Earth Alchemy Oracle deck, and it says Diamond Light Body, High Frequency, Activations, Planetary Grid Work. Oh, and this is the back of that deck, because I'm going to show you quite a few from that deck. Okay, so here's that. Diamond Ray. Looks like the earth in the background, but also looks like it's a gem. Then we have, actually, I'll hold it up here and read it from here, then you can see it longer. This one is the Ethiopian opals. So we talked about the opal, which could have been the heart of the mountain in The Hobbit. Fertile ground. And sorry, let me put up Pegasus, unicorn energy, rainbow child. So maybe any of those words or images means something to you. This is a pretty one. Pearl and Larimar, let go, surrender, release, patterns and triggers, Pleiades. Now, I didn't bring up Larimar, but I meant to. And that stone, just for a small piece, is pretty expensive. It's a really pretty, how do I explain the color? It's like a baby blue turquoise, and it has like a mottled with white. And it's actually pretty pricey, even for a very small piece. But I meant to bring up Larimar as going with that Atlantis movie. What was the name of the full name? The Lost Kingdom or something like that? No, The Lost Empire. So Larimar very much goes with the energy of, Atlantis, even Lemuria, I would say. It even almost kind of reminds me, Larimar looks like the crackling of this, crystal or ice or, water formations. It's like that, white and blue color mixed together, much like a wave crashing together. So if you ever see it, again, that's something, since it is so pricey, it's nice to make sure that particular piece is resonating with you if you go to purchase it. Okay, this one, since we talked about amber with the dragon eye, it reminded me of amber. This says Amber and Dawn Redwood, Rewild, Druid, Treekeeper, Perception versus Reality. That's a really pretty card, looking up at trees with the amber there. And since we talked about sap versus resin, that's a good card to show. Then we have this one. So we talked about emeralds, especially with that Romancing the Stone movie. We have Emerald and Milk Thistle, Heal the Healer, Soul's Truth, Atlantis, Emerald Tablets. It's a really cool card. And then when we see the bumblebee on top of this one too, it reminds me of Bumblebee Jasper, which I've showed on other shows. That's a great sunshiny kind of healing crystal. I love it. I've had really great success using that one. And when I see the thistle, that reminds me there's like a thistle tea and other things that's good for, I think, the liver. I'm pretty sure it's the liver. I'm not sure if it's the kidneys as well, but it's really good for those organs. So take a look into that if that's something that's, kind of clicking with you to take a look at. Then we talked about aquamarine for that Dune movie. Somebody was using an aquamarine to simulate that Ridulian, I think it was called. And so this is aquamarine and white lily, go with the flow, divine mother, Shekinah flow, detach. Am I seeing that right? Let me hold that up closer. Yeah, okay. And that's got a pretty vibe with the lilies and the water. Aquamarine. Also think of what your birthstone is. That's just reminding me when I hear aquamarine, we often hear that with your birthstone. When you think of first of all, do you know what your birthstone is? And some months carry, a few different ones. And if you do, when you look at it, does that resonate with you? Does that feel like your birthstone? Just because they say on some chart that that's your birthstone, maybe it isn't. So if it isn't, then just actively go and choose which one feels right for you to, be in symbiosis with you and your energy field and what seems to sum you up. The one that they have for mine doesn't ever feel like it. So I like a ton of other stones that feel more me than what they say on my birth chart or zodiac or whatever. Okay, here's another Herkimer diamond. And it says, and they pair it with snowdrop, the plant, resurrection and commitment, purification, and devotion. And so that's a very pretty feel and vibe on that card too. Yeah, this deck is like very watercolor, washy feeling. Then we have citrine, and they pair it with dandelion. Citrine and dandelion, make a wish. Clearing comparison, surrender to magic. And a good kind of magic when we're talking about that. Some people get triggered and tripped up on the word magic. I think it's just, it's an amazing word because it implies to me not only the wonder and magic of creation of the divine that can flow through us and out through our hands for creation and our energy field, but also when you look at the word magic, it has magi, mage, image, it's all in there. And it's just about creating. And it's creating with a divine force or flow through it, according to how I feel about it. Now, with anything, it can be used for good or used for evil, so to speak. So if you're usually using it for good and for wonder and good upliftment things, who cares? Now, if you're going into the dark magic side of it, that's another story. But the word magic in and of itself, I'm just saying, shouldn't really trigger anybody. It's like saying, is this pen triggering anybody? I mean, it's just a tool. Okay. Then we have, I pulled this one too because it talks about diamond. And that one says diamond heart seed crystal, Golden Age Wisdom, and I have to zoom in, sorry, bouncing around. DNA Activation, Lemuria, Priestess Awakening. Wait, does it say Priestess? No, Priceless Awakening. Sorry. There we go. It's a very pretty card too. Very waterfall energy in there. And they've got some palm trees. So it's kind of like rainforest meets Hawaii meets waterfall. All right. This one is Amethyst and Passion Flower. That's a nice pairing. And this one says what? Violet Flame. Transmuting, breaking addictions, nervous system. So they've got the purity with the white flowers, and then everything else that the amethyst can do. We touched on a few things it can do, but again, feel free to look up many more spiritual meanings and just feel it out, what it feels to you, the energies of it. Okay, this one, let's see if I say it right. This one says astrophyllite and ginkgo. And actually, ginkgo is supposedly good as a tea. I have not tried it, but supposedly very healthy for the body. This says star elders, signs and symbols, divine blueprints, and a mentee. Now, when I see the word a mentee, that reminds me of a book called, what is it? Voyager by Ashayana Dean. So I don't know if that's something you want to look into further. There's something called the Halls of a Mentee. There's a lot around that word, and I'm not going to pretend to know. I have the literature. I have not dived into it, have not been drawn to really go deep dive on it, but I'm just throwing it out there in case that means something to someone out there. Now, that's it for that portion of all the crystals. Now, what I think I'll do is go through this is the back of the deck for that Tarot of Atlantis, Major Arcana. And I'll just show it again for anybody who might be coming in later. And oh, hey, Rita says turquoise, amethyst. Yeah, those are beautiful. How could you ever go wrong with that? And some of these things, yeah, if you feel like they're your stone and you resonate with it, you would know, like maybe even somebody gave you, I'm just going to show these a bit. Maybe somebody even gave you a gift of some kind of crystal when you were little, and it just really, speaks to you, then that's probably your stone. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and draw one, and let's see what we got. So, okay. I got to draw more than this one. I'll tell you one in a second. Let me see what else hops out. Because the card I just drew, it's okay as a standalone. However, I'm feeling strongly that we better pull a little bit more to give it some context. Because in and of itself, I can speak about it, but it seems I'm getting a strong, nope, we need a 1 or 2, whatever will hop out to accompany it, if it will. If not, we'll just go back to the standalone card. Give me a second. There aren't too many, so just give me a minute. It's harder to kind of shuffle these when there's not so many in there. And otherwise, hey, I'll just fill the shuffling time with I'm meditating, connecting on what we need to hear as well. Hopefully all of you are having a great right now. It's still Saturday night. I didn't plan on going this long. Hopefully you guys don't mind a longer show. I think tomorrow, Monday's show, May the 4th be with you, Hearts of Kyber, ? Will probably be a shorter show, but we'll see. For anyone who's into Star Wars, I have a much longer show. Oh, here we go. I did a year ago, and I went really deep in on showing scenes and everything. And the Monday show this time around regarding Star Wars is just going to be focusing around the crystal that they call Kyber in this show. Okay, so this one, oh, shoot, I need one more. We got 2. I think 3 is the charm here. And Rita says, turquoise has always resonated with me since I was a child. It's a beautiful stone, especially I think the Native Americans, they say that it should never be mined. You should just find it like on, pick it up kind of thing. Very sacred stone. And yeah, it reminds me of the Southwest, right? With the Hopi and other indigenous populations that do a lot of crafting with silver, with turquoise and red coral. And I can't remember some of the deeper meanings behind all of that. Maybe some of you know. But very, earthy vibe. Turquoise is like water. The red coral is like the red earth. It's just a lot of meaning to it. Oh, okay. Let me look at these for a second. I need a flashlight so that I can look at these. I'll tell you the numbers. We have number 8. 13 or 4. And we have, it's in Roman numerals. I need a minute to remember my Roman numerals. And then we have 15, which is also a 6, and we have 0. But they have really fine print on these cards, so I got to read it here first. I'm going to read it down here below. I'm looking at stuff, and then I'll hold them up. So the first card we got out of this Atlantis deck was Death, Change, Transformation, Ending, New Beginning. Then we have the devil, addiction, ego, control, restriction, materialism. And then we have new beginning, leap of faith, fresh start, freedom, and that's the fool. So that's the energy of the fool. So this is actually a pretty simple, clear-cut message. And I'm going to hold them up because the artwork is very interesting on these. And I'm going to hold a flashlight up on the artwork because they're kind of muted. They're a little bit darker. But when we're looking at death, it doesn't mean a literal death per se, although it can. But more often than not, it's just meaning the ending of something. And we know this because it's saying the devil right after is what are we ending? We're ending the addiction. We're ending low vibe. We're ending anything restrictive, anything that's just focused on materialism for materialism's sake, kind of like the movies that I was showing, all of those. Anytime there was a jewel, it was somebody who was very covetous, envious, somebody who wanted to steal it. Somebody wanted to grab it. That's so low vibe. If you knew how many crystals are just freely given by the earth at any given moment, there would be no mentality for that. There's examples all over where crystals just pop up. You can just pull them off the ground. So there's no need. And the earth gives more than enough. There is no, what do you call it? There is no lack on this earth. There's no lack of water. There's an endless, infinite well that comes up from the earth with aquifers all over the place. No one should ever worry about water, not about food. The trees give it freely all the time, if not, a cultivated plot of land. There's so much abundance. It's not even funny. And oh yeah, Rita's saying death of the old self, rebirth to the new self. Absolutely. That's where I'm going with this. There is a thing called the death of the old. And even if you don't have any addictions or any controlling tendencies, or you're not caught up in materialism, a lot of us aren't. It also can just simply mean, like Rita's saying too, the death of the old. That's a thing. Just like D-Knots, I call it, it's Dark Night of the Soul. Death of the old, which would be like Doto, is a thing. There's a time where we get into our growth, especially spiritually, where we just kind of come to a point where it's like, okay, this can happen, that can happen. Does it even matter? And we and it's time to like shed away all of the old self and kind of go where we're at a clean slate to begin anew. And that's why we have the Fool coming next. And I will bring up the cards, I promise, because it is the new beginning, the leap of faith, the jumping without even seeing the net. You just know the net's there without having to go, oh, is the net there? And this is just metaphorical speaking. I'm not saying go do something and jump without making sure there's not a net. But in spiritual terms, it's like just knowing that, hey, I can do anything. And if I know and trust in a bigger divine, a team, whether it's just God, just Jesus, your guardian angelics, whatever, it depends what you believe in. If you have your ancestors, your loving ancestors, you have loving galactic family, there's a whole team up there, around there, or different dimension there, that are ready to help give us extra energy. I've told this on another show, where sometimes when you feel like you got nothing left to give, some days we show up, we got 100%, no problem. Other days we're like, whoa, raring to go. You can maybe give 200%, give your all. There are other days we show up and, hey, I got maybe 1%, I got 0%, or I feel like I got negative infinity percent. I know that's not a thing, but go with me. It's like, I got like negative energy pulling. I got nothing to give. And in fact, it's like not even blowing out the candle. It's sucking all air out of the room kind of thing. I got nothing. I'm on empty. And there's times, where we come up and there's like, I can't even produce a wind. There's just no there. There's no energy. And the thing is, it's okay. That's why they say live in the now. It's whatever you can bring, whatever you bring to the table that day. If your best is 0%, well, then so be it. That's your best. Another day, 50% your best. Okay, great. Who's the one judging the scale of what you bring in the energy levels? We're supposed to just live, not supposed to, I use that loosely, just be in the flow, whatever come as you are. And whatever that is, that's okay. And that's more than okay, because you're coming as you, which is the whole universe. So anyway, so the Fool, yes, very much about not only starting in the new beginning, but the freedom part. How free are you if you cut away all that old baggage, right? So that's the death of the old, is also the elimination of old baggage, whether that's things that you feel guilty about, like, oh, I messed up. And again, this is just self-judgment. In reality, you didn't, because we're here on this earth to experience anything, everything, all of it. And there's no harm, no foul if something went this way, or any which way. These are just experiences. So the only way it gets wonky is if somebody puts a judgment on it. That's why it's like, do not judge. Because the moment you judge something, you're going to start to get emotions around the thing. If something just happens and you don't judge it, then you're not bringing emotions around that thing and you're free. So that goes with the freedom. So I'm going to show these one at a time, then I'll try to hold them all up at the same time. Actually, I don't need the flashlight if I do this. So this is this one card for death. And this is all underwater. All these cards are going to be underwater because it's the Tarot of Atlantis. So death. And that looks very still. You know, it actually looks very perfect, very still. Yet when you look above at the top of the card, the waves are moving, the sun is shining. And so to me, this just means it's all a part of the whole. You know, we have life, we have death, we have here we have polarity, we have the opposites, but they all contribute to a whole picture. And with death comes the ability to transcend or transmute it. You know, we can shed the old, but we can also, you know, step into a different frequency. So in like reality, if we leave the body behind, that's just leaving the body behind. But the spirit, the spark, it continues on in any form it wishes to take. So it's not a true death. In this case, we're talking about death of the old. It's like waving goodbye, kissing goodbye, lovingly say goodbye to the old self. Are we the same person that we were when we were like 2 years old or one or, you know, whatever, or just yesterday? We're a different person at any given moment. And that's okay. So we do have actually many deaths, if you think about it, every, you know, second of our lives. And the point is to drop also, like death of the old, also death of the way that we look at death. Let that go away too. Because I don't know about you, but I've been recently put into situations where I see with people transitioning to the quote unquote other side, they're not dying. They're just stepping into a different frequency and they are liberated from, you know, what was containing them here. So if you know there's no death, then we cannot just, you know, say, oh, goodbye, good riddance, get rid of that old, but lovingly, nurturingly, it's not a word, but, you know, kiss it goodbye. We don't have to be like, oh, get away. You know, no, the old brought us to where we are now. And the old gave us certain things that we learned that we wouldn't learn if we didn't, how do I want to say this? How are we supposed to learn if we don't have the contrast to show us what we don't want to do, right? So, but we can just lovingly say goodbye to the old. And some people, you're like, I can't get rid of it fast enough. That's okay too, of course. All right, then we have, here's the devil. So the imagery of the devil card. So to me, this isn't like, you know, red guy with a pitchfork and a fire behind him kind of devil. To me, this is the devil in confusion. So there's like 3 different archways. They all kind of look the same. And it's like, I guess I got a point on this one. So like this, if this is a person like you or me standing there, the point of view of the viewer, it'll be like, oh, which way do I go? Door number 1, number 2, or number 3. They all look the same. They all have the same amount of illumination, more or less. And so, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Total confusion. So the devil can also just be that's in the life, our life, that is causing us to hesitate, maybe second guess, maybe too much has happened and the mind is just shutting down, or it's like a squirrel running around. You don't know what to do. All of that is pointing to meditation, because look how tranquil that is, even though it's a little confusing, like where do I go? They all seem the same, but could all yield a different outcome. It's still very tranquil. So if you just go within the light, you know, beyond the arches is the reminder of the God spark, then the heart space. And I've talked about this before, you know, it does suggest go into meditation. Doesn't mean you have to go sit in a lotus position. Some people connect great that way. That's wonderful. I cannot. I've said it before. I just can't do it. Oh, I meant to show you. I'm going to sidetrack a minute. I forgot. I showed to show you the crystals. I just threw on some crystals. These are just like glass. They're made from like sand base. You know, what do they call them? Like I don't want to give a shout out to a brand name, but like the Austrian crystals. I meant to talk about those which are natural and those which are lab made. These are lab made. And so they use a sand base. And we talked about sand and being crystalline structure and all that. Anyway, so getting back to it. So meditation, I can never just like sit there in the lotus and do that. And I tried for like 10 years, just still not my vibe. And then I found out, hey, medication, no, meditation. I was just looking at the devil since we're talking about addiction. I think that's why medication jumped up in my head. No, I'm talking about meditation. And so meditating can also look like doing the dishes, and you just get into like a Zen state. It can be driving even, although I don't recommend it. But how many of us have tried that? If you're driving, not tried it, but experienced it, when you're driving along, all of a sudden you're in a good place, maybe, or you're just like in a zoning out place. Somehow you're still safe. You haven't hit anybody or anything. You still magically get to your destination, and yet you feel at peace. And suddenly you're like, oh, wait a minute. I don't even remember going on that light at this intersection or whatever. In those moments, I believe we are kind of quantum jumped, and we are also looked out after by our divine team. That's also a form of total, getting in the zone and meditating. Also, of course, if you have access to a coastline or shore, if you walk along the beach, very meditative. What are you doing? You're walking on sand, which is the crystals we talked about. That's all crystals and water. And the energies, especially like salt water or even fresh water, water itself has crystalline structure. And so what's happening is each time you're walking on those surfaces, that energy is coming up through your spleen, coming up through your spine and through your body. Very nurturing and healing. That's why people love it. It feels so good, right? But anyway, that's another form of meditation. Another meditation is gardening. A lot of us know that, or bird watching, or just connecting in with nature. Oh, and Rita's asking, what's the pattern on your shirt? And this is a good question because it's movies. I only have 2 movie-based t-shirts. One is Star Wars. I'll have that on probably on Monday. And the other one is Lord of the Rings. So I'll hold it up. So Lord of the Rings, yay. And this is the armor of Gondor. So good question. Thanks. Yeah, I can show off my t-shirt. All right, then the Fool. Okay, so that covers meditation. Sorry, so the devil. Thank you, she says. Okay, so that's meditation so that we know the choice, or it's the best choice at the moment. A lot of times we give ourselves too much anxiety and like devilish thoughts because like, oh, what if I make a mistake? What if I have done this? Okay, well, so what? You make one, but if you take a moment to meditate and connect in with yourself, you're going to make the right decision for that moment because you're deciding in here, not here. This can be corrupted. Your thoughts are influenced by what you see in the outside world, but that's not the true reality. The true reality is what we feel in the heart space, right? So anyway, you drop down into your heart, you make the best decision that you can at the moment. We've said goodbye to the old, and now we're centered and ready for the new and being the fool. It's okay to be a fool. What do they say? We're all fools in love. We're all fools at a certain point. It's okay. It's okay not to know. It's okay to have look back and go, oh, that was so stupid. What did I do? Well, then that's part of the get rid of the old. Anything that's causing you a low vibration, cut it. Say goodbye. Say that was in the past. That's not now. Okay. And and there's a great line in Star Wars, although I wasn't going to go too much into Star Wars. I didn't include that movie because I'm going to do that in the standalone show on Monday. But Obi-Wan Kenobi in the 1977 movie, he says, who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows it? And so that's another example to go within so that you're going based on your own guidance, not hearsay like, oh, everyone does that, so I'm going to do that. Oh, someone told me to do that. No. It's time to go within and get all of your answers from right in here. Everyone has them, and they're unique to you and your journey and your soul's journey. So be a fool. It's great. And actually, if you flip fool and spell it backwards, it's loof. It reminds me of aloof. Sometimes the more aloof and oblivious you are to something going around in the world, those people seem to be like they have a lucky star over their head. They seem to be so lucky because why? They don't have any negative or anxiety energy tying them down to, bring in a negative outcome. They're just like, whatever, like being neutral. And that's tends to be when some of the really best and more magical things start to happen. And it's very freeing, right? If you're aloof, you kind of don't have a plan, like, okay, you just move along and magical things find you. And then, Rita says, gaining new wisdom and quotes from those moments in life you mentioned. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, so did I show you the Fool? I'm being a fool and not showing you the Fool. Here's the Fool card. So there's a statue. I don't know who that's supposed to be, but they are down in the depths. But yet there's light. There's even like a school of fish or bubbles overhead. I think it's bubbles, but you know what? I'm going to interpret those as fish overhead. Because to me, again, the Fool is, in this case, if that's a school of fish, this one is stepped away from the school of fish. So again, just not following, the lemmings in front of you. You step out, you have your own wisdoms, you've learned, from your own unique set of experiences, and you're going to go with your intuition and live your life the way that it makes sense, not living it as somebody else would see you live it, right? Okay. Well, I think that's it. Oh, no, it isn't. But wait, there's more. It's it if you want to jump off. That's fine. And if not, I have one more deck to go through, to pull from. Okay, but I'll show you the box first because I don't think I did. Pardon if I did already. This is the one that I said is a reminder of the dark crystal one. It's done by, we're going to have a landslide here. This was the dark crystal one, and this is done by the same people, Lord of the Rings. So much like the care of and detail-oriented mind that made that deck, the Lord of the Rings has the cover. We have Gandalf and we have Frodo, or Bilbo, I can't tell who. But then we have along the side, they have artwork everywhere. And then, and here too. And then the box at the bottom. Well, inside we have the ring, the one ring to rule them all. And then they have, again, artwork all along the side. So it's a very nice deck. And I'm just bringing this up in case somebody, people who like decks, oracle decks or tarot decks, and you want, these are kind of like extra special for giving gifts. But of course, they have to like the theme that's involved. So I think what I will do is I will go ahead and read. I will pull some cards. This is just an example of the artwork and then on the back of the card. And then I'm going to pull, I'll see what wants to hop out. And when I do, what's unique about this Lord of the Rings deck is all the other ones have books, but this one has like a whole huge chart. So once you get your card, it has this whole chart to go through and try to find their description in it. And actually, I guess I did not, I showed you, give me a moment here to get organized. I showed you the Dark Crystal deck, but I did not pull a card. So you know what? I'll stick with reading the Lord of the Rings first, and if anyone's still interested, I'll pull one from the Dark Crystal deck. How about that? They have a nice book. Actually, this book, in case you're interested in this particular brand of decks, they have nice colored images with their descriptions. So let's go ahead and shuffle for Lord of the Rings. Again, if you know nothing about it, I highly recommend you read the book first. It's so rich and has some really aha moments in there. Great hint drops. And the movie is a bit violent. There's some good moments in it, but I really could have done without all of the battle scenes and stuff, at least to the extent that they took them. Just my personal opinion. And let's see, if nothing hops out on Lord of the Rings, we will go to the Dark Crystal. Okay, too much hopped out, but I have them. Okay, I have two. Oh, three. Okay. We have the Page of Rings, Knight of Rings, and Queen of Rings. So this trio came out. And what I'm going to do is pull up the map with their descriptions of this because it's very story-based. And this particular deck, you do want to read what they write about it. And here, I'm trying to get my hands out of the way. Here are the cards. Sorry, I can't quite hear. I am not used to holding these up like this. Give me a minute. Okay, there's the artwork. So we have an Ent, and we have a knight in the middle. An Ent is a tree, a sentient being tree. I'm trying to get it straight. There we go. And then we have Rosie, one of the characters in The Lord of the Rings, with a ring. So we've got the circle imagery. We've got the sun with the Ent, a shield, and she's got the wreath. So the circle is reading prominently. And what is the circle? The circle is there's no beginning, there's no end. So at a certain level, we talk about the death of the old, but at the same time, is there really old, new, future if you look at everything kind of happening at the same time? I know it's kind of a heavy concept. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the Page of Rings, if I can find it easily. Again, this is pretty intense. I think it's on this side. So unlike other decks, it's a little harder to find. I don't really work with this deck, as you can see. Hold on. So let me see if I can find this. I think it's down here, of course, at the bottom. Give me a moment. Oh, here it is. Wow, it took a while to find. All right, give me one moment here, and I'm just going to read the one. That's all I'm feeling to do right now. And then we will wrap this up soon. Okay, So the Page of Rings, and I'll hold it up again. It says, if we get the card upright, which we did, there's upright and then there's upside down or reversed. This one we did get upright. Here's the message. The most action-oriented of the Ents, Quickbeam, the name of the Ent or this tree being, mirrors the Page of Rings with his decisive mind. Similarly, you know what you want and you are ready to make it happen. With vigilance comes victory, but you must be prepared to work at your fullest potential. Now, if we got it reversed, I'll just read it while we're here. It says, you may find yourself lost and adrift, wanting to retreat deeper into the Fangorn forest, but don't uproot just yet. Sure, nothing is going according to plan, but it's worth exploring how you can grow from this setback. And I just want to say the main message, take with whatever I read worked for you. I'm not reading it actually, taking the message to be the one in the upright. I'm actually taking the message for today as being the one in reverse, because it is talking about, it's saying it's worth exploring how you can grow from the setback. And that's the Fool. So it's like, okay, you had the setback. That's the death of the old that we just talked about in the Atlantis group, Atlantis cards. But you got to be the Fool to go off, pick yourself up, dust yourself off. You fell off the horse. Okay, that didn't feel great. But now okay, I'm going to pick myself back up, and I'm not going to do the same thing I did last time and keep falling off that horse. Now I know maybe how to stay on it. I'll learn and read up on what you do, or go talk to somebody with experience who can coach me on how not to do that again, that kind of a thing. So again, there we go. Like, to me, that Ent is very much looking kind of like the Fool. He's setting off on a journey into the unknown, but here you look at his face. He looks very wise. He looks like, okay, but I got the experience behind me, and I've got the sun over my shoulder or in my hand. Again, the magic theme that we talked about. I've got the magic in my hands, that glowing stone where everything is possible. That's the energies I'm getting off of that. So I know it's a little weird read. It's kind of like just pulling in off of things that we already talked about too, but that's just where I'm going with it. Okay, now let's just try this. I've never drawn from this dark crystal deck before. So again, the Fool. Let's do Fool energy. Let's try it. Oh, Rita says the writing is so small. LOL. Yeah, you ain't kidding, sister. That's why I have to bring the little flashlight. And I have like 2020. It's just certain situations. It's like, come on, man, throw us a bone. Like, if you ever look at some labels and you want to find out, what's in that shampoo or what's in that makeup, and it's like, good luck, even with a magnifying glass. It's like, how do they even get the typeset that tiny? Why even put it on there? Okay, so let's see what the dark crystal has to say. And again, even though it's like a dark crystal title, we're looking at the positive, beautiful aspects. And I will just connect in on whatever we need to hear, or even if just one person needs to hear something. And if you don't, maybe not now, maybe later, maybe not ever. It doesn't matter at a certain point. What does matter is I appreciate all of you being here, and we have this moment together in this space and time, which is spaceless and timeless. And if nothing wants to come out, we'll see. If nothing wants to come out and anybody has a request from any of the other decks I showed you, let me know. And if not, we'll wrap it up after this. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness. And of course, it fell on the floor, so give me a minute. Oh, hey, this is perfect to end on. It's the star. Whoops, I'm like all disheveled. It's the star. So that's the artwork of the star. And look, it looks like, if you look at the center, the heart of that bird looks like an emerald. So we got that green energy. Oh, and it's also, I can't read that backwards for me. It's also number 17 or number 8 for people who like the numbers. Now, unlike that huge map, this does have a book, so it's easier to find presumably things. So let me look here, because I think from what I remember looking through this deck, they did have nice descriptions on it. So give me a second to find it. Oh, you know what? On my way to finding the star, I found the Fool and the Magician. I don't know. We had a big Fool and Magician theme coming up. Let me just see if there's anything that wants to be read on the Fool and the Magician from this deck before getting to the star. Yeah, okay. I think there's some nice things. Let's see. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to read some excerpts from here. So on the Fool from this deck, they say, with a sense of purpose making up for his lack of experience, embarks on his request, ready to see it through. Although you may not be certain that I think they have some typos in here. Yeah, okay, let me reread this because they have some typos in the words. I think somebody translated it wrong from a different language. It says, with a sense of purpose making up for his lack of experience, Jen embarks on his quest, ready to see it through. Although you may not be certain what you're up it's right. Although you may not be certain that you're up for a challenge, trust yourself. You have everything it takes to succeed. And then if we had the card reversed, it says, don't let your reckless side take over. You may find yourself buried under a rock slide. Keep a cool head, stick to your plan, and remain focused. Okay, so that's if somebody needed to hear any of that. And I think we'll jump to the star. Yeah, let's just jump to the star. Again, assuming I'll find it right away. I should. This is pretty well organized. What number was this? This was 17. Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right, so the star is, whether you're cloaked in glow moss or caked in the dirt of the land, nothing can dull your inner light. Like Deet, the character, you see the beauty around you and experience the world with an open heart and generous spirit, which has led you to this moment. The star urges you to explore something new. When everything is aligned, seize the opportunity to make your wildest dreams come true. Reversed, if the card's in reverse. Even if you felt yourself darkening, it doesn't mean that your light has been extinguished. You may want to isolate yourself, but stay connected to whatever inspires you and reminds you of your greater purpose. And I just keep hearing, be the star you are. So even in darkness, the star shines its best. The star is most visible in the darkest of skies. And what's weird about this is, even though I have the star card, they have a different image in the book, and they must have changed their mind. I was a little confused while reading this because here's the card we drew. Oh my gosh, I just realized my mistake. The Fool strikes again. My goodness, that's so funny. Okay, here's what happened. Because it's similar artwork, I picked the card off the floor, was one that dropped earlier from the Lord of the Rings. And then I read the one from the Dark Crystal. But it's, it's no mistakes. It was meant to happen for a reason. So look at the star here has the emerald energy, and the star here has the amethyst energy. So I will end this on a recap with the amethyst being for wisdom, tranquility, high frequency energy for protection. Really great to connect in with meditation and with your intuition. And then the green will do emerald, again, connecting in with love, rebirth, wisdom, and emotional healing. So, all right. Well, I think that's a wrap up for today, unless anybody had anything else you wanted to bring up. Again, I truly appreciate you all. Wish you a beautiful now. And as a bonus, I will be coming back with a show on Monday, only because it's May the 4th be with you. If you know the joke from Star Wars, it's May the Force be with you, but it's May the 4th on Monday at 8 p.m. So join me if you like. And otherwise, again, thanks again. Wishing you all tremendous peace and love. Till next time. Bye. Take care.